Ah, yes, Adam Schein, Kyle Long in our CBS Sports studios. And Kyle, I was all in on Jaxson Dart, and I still am. All in on Cam Scatterboot, and I still am. But this was a bad loss for the Giants on CBS against New Orleans. They had the lead. Jaxson Dart was cooking, couple of touchdowns, 5 turnovers on 5 straight offensive drives in this game. As bad, as brutal, as unacceptable, as flattening and deflating as it gets if you're a fan of the Giants.
You know, we were just talking about the Cowboys and how hard it is to win games, especially blowing teams out. Well, I'll tell you what's even harder, going to New Orleans and playing football. And I don't care who's on the other sideline, who's playing quarterback, how many games in a row they've lost. When you go to New Orleans and you play football, you cannot afford to make mistakes. And this was a real proving grounds for the New York Giants and their young roster, particularly at the running back and quarterback position. And we saw flashes of really great things from these two guys. And obviously Malik Neighbors being out, you have to rely on guys like Slayton down the field. And he had a timely drop in the first half of the game that would have been an explosive play. But then you see those 5 drives, 5 turnovers, a number of different ways. And you say, well, that's what can happen to a rookie. We were expecting this team to really be on their P's and Q's and use that aggressive style of offense that we've seen and fall in love with these two guys. I call them the Brony Express, Abercrombie and Glitch. Well, today there was a lot more glitching than you would want.
You know, losing is one thing. How they lost to me today was absolutely positively unacceptable. And at some point, if you're Brian Daboll and the Giants, it just has to be about winning. Now, you make a great point, and it's something that needs to be stressed. And you played, obviously, in the NFL at a brilliant level, and you were an offensive lineman. You understand the crowd noise in New Orleans.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, that's a real thing. But this was bad. And this is why, and I said it all offseason, why week 1 at halftime, Jaxson Dart needed to play. Week 2 against the Cowboys, Jaxson Dart needed to play. Week 3 halftime against Kansas City, Jaxson Dart needed to play. Because then there's experience. So when you have adversity hit for the first time in your career, maybe you could handle it. Dart, 1 fumble loss, 2 interceptions. Still love him. I thought the Saints should have drafted him.
The fumble was as rookie a mistake.
That's right.
You know, you're trying to make magic happen. You double clutch on a receiver. You're outside the pocket to your left, which is an even tougher place to live as a right-handed quarterback. You don't tuck that thing away. It's on the turf. That's brutal. You know what? The defense didn't really show up to play.
0 sacks.
And when I talk about the New York Giants, I usually lead with that front 7. Their ability to swing the game, capture momentum, take the air out of a home crowd. This was the perfect opportunity for them to show up and have their rookies back. 0 sacks for the most talented front 7 or front 4 in football. 300 yards a game in 5 games for this defense. If they want to be competitive in these tough games where the odds are stacked against their rookie quarterback, the defense needs to show up. I'm not excusing Jaxson Dart for some of the mistakes, some of the underthrown balls. The flea flicker was great. That's why we love Brian Daboll. He wants to take shots. He's confident in his quarterback. But you got to get that thing out there.
That's right.
Slayton, you got to have that ball over the middle of the field for a 45 air yard pass. These are the type of plays that you have to make if you want to take the next step in New York Giants football.
Well, you make a great point with no sacks, and let's also not bury the lead. No sacks against Spencer Rattler and the Saints. Like, that's unacceptable. And the Saints, even coming in winless, you know, they were plucky, right? You know, in 3 of their 4 games, they were in them with an opportunity to win. They looked good, had an opportunity to upset the Buffalo Bills a week before. But I thought this was just a dreadful, unacceptable, terrible performance on the road, having the lead by the New York Football Giants. That front 4, when you have a double-digit lead, you should be able to help your rookies out. And at some point, Brian Daboll is going to have to win games, right? I mean, he's always on the hot seat. Now, I want him to stay in New York for a long time and develop Jaxson Dart and for them to make beautiful, sweet music together. And sure, Neighbors isn't there. I don't care. And if that means you now have to start stealing some wins, starting this week against the Philadelphia Eagles, the Eagles haven't looked great. I'm sorry, Kyle, win the game.
Dude, I'm looking at the schedule right now, and they have the potential to lose 9 games in a row. But the good news is this. Jaxson Dart shows us why you have him in the game every week. he's got juice. Cam Scatterbo has juice. I saw him out on a lead block today. He took a defensive line for a 15-yard bus fare ride. He planted him in the dirt, and then he said, give me your $20 for the ride. That's the type of stuff you need time and time again. If you're going to be this gritty, muck-it-up style football team, win at the line of scrimmage, pound the rock with Cam, and then take those shots down the field with Jaxson Dart, you have to capitalize. You can't afford not to get after their quarterback. You can't afford to drop the ball on explosive plays down the field. Look, I'm looking at this schedule. It goes Eagles, Broncos, Eagles, Niners, Bears, who are only going to get better offensively, Packers, Lions, and then the Patriots, who are starting to transform themselves into a competitive football team, and we'll know a lot more about them today. It's tough sledding, but I still like the move of having Jaxson Dart out there. Let him take his lumps. Let him learn.
Look, if they ultimately drop as many games as you're suggesting, and they'll be underdogs in most of these games, then Brian Daboll is going to lose his job.
Yeah.
And my whole point is, I don't want to hear about the neighbor's injury. You know, they beat the Chargers, and the Chargers, to me, are one of the best, well-coached, all-around football teams in the league. They had Kansas City. They are capable of winning these games. They had Dallas. Now they need to do it.
It's Jekyll and Hyde, dude.
Kyle, I'm not going to let anything else be an excuse. I know the Eagles have a great DNA. It's tough to beat a team. You know this. You live this in the league twice in a matter of 3 weeks. Win one of those games. San Francisco will see the injury report by the time the Giants play them on week 9, November the 2nd. They can win that game. I like the Bears. Bears get better every week. Bears is not the 85 Bears. They can win a game like that. The Patriots,
Totally.
well coached, Drake May. I mean, I look at this and I'm saying, all right, I know you just lost to New Orleans. If Brian Daboll wants to keep his job, win 4 of these games.
And I'm doing the doom and gloom thing, obviously, but you look at the schedule and it's like, oh my God, when do they get a break? But at the same time, you steal a couple of those wins. I mean, you get a few of these at home. It's going to be a tough, it looks like it's going to be from October 9th to December 1st before they get their bye week. Week 14 is their bye week, and they have a lot of tough sledding to go before then.
Which is why when you have a monster lead against the New Orleans Saints and Spencer Rattler,
Pound the rock.
might want to hold on and win that game.